So, but this is kind of just an overview for what we're doing, right? So, the power of goal setting. And I didn't make the slides, Joe did. I gave her like the text, and then she used like ChatGPT to do it. So, right, why is it important? So this is like, why is something important is like the main question I ask when I come up with anything, whether it's like a goal idea or something I'm doing, something I'm thinking about. So why is it important? So obviously it helps with direction and focus. If you set goals, you have a direction. If you set goals, you've got some focus. It can also increase motivation and self-discipline. Like, if you're anything like me, motivation kind of like waxes and wanes. Like sometimes it's there. To be honest, a lot of the time it's not. And I think that like you have to kind of cultivate motivation. And if you're trying to start a business or maintain a business or any of this shit, you need some element of motivation. So, and I think that getting around people can re-motivate yourself. Like these sort of events can help with that. Self-discipline sort of like, it goes hand in hand with motivation, and it sort of ties into habits, creating habits and discipline to just execute those. And also like, one thing I think is really important, something I didn't do a lot of when I was like starting out, is measuring progress. Like anyone who's achieved a goal in the past, like it's not often that you celebrate that and you measure your progress like that. Like we tend to just kind of continually move the goalposts further as we go, or that's something I used to do. So like, with financial goals, for example, if I wanted my business to get to like 10 grand a month or something like that, then as soon as I got to 9.5 grand a month, it was like, well, 50 grand a month would be better. And I would just continually push it and push it and push it. And that would sort of like, that would mean that my motivation kind of like would run out because I was never felt like I was achieving anything. And creating accountability, well, there's an element of that in the room when you come every 3 months or whatever, right? Because you have accountability with each other. And my real hope is that you guys form like relationships with each other. Do you know what I mean? And you touch in with each other, and you sort of, you invest in each other's, I hate the word journey, but you know what I mean? You invest in each other's success and progress a little bit, because like that's been really useful for me. Like it's really helped me in the past anyway. I wanted to back it up with some science. So I'll give you some basic information on it. So a study in Harvard Business School in 1979 found that 84% of people who had no specific goals, like that's most people, right? 13% had goals but didn't write them down. So, people who say they want something, but that's as far as it goes. And then 3% had written goals, and then that is the group that earned 10 times more than others combined after 10 years. So like, you can see if this is true, and I don't know if this study is actually true, but this is widely cited on the internet. And my business mentor showed me this. But like, if that is true, then like you can quickly see the difference between not having a goal versus being quite specific about your goals, right? And the guys who have done this before know about this stuff. Basic study too. A study by Dr. Edwin Locke and Dr. Gary Latham found that specific and challenging goals lead to higher performance compared to vague or easy goals. So the reason I'm citing that is because you can see from just having a goal and having it written down to now having a more challenging goal or pushing yourself a little bit there is going to have like a more chance of success. This research led to the development of goal-setting theory, which shows that clarity, challenge, commitment, feedback, and task complexity improve goal achievement. So what I'm kind of doing is I'm sort of like trying to take a woolly theory, a goal, and drill it into like something really specific, more like an art form. And that's kind of what I've tried to do in my life. And it has worked to some degree. Does anyone know what the reticular activating system is? No? Ben, you're nodding.
You Raz.
Yeah. Can you give us a brief?
Not really.
No? No, that's cool. It's cool, I'll do it. So has anyone, like the car examples, has anyone ever like been about to buy a car or decided they're going to buy a car, and then you fucking see that car everywhere. Yeah, that's the reticular activating system. So like, right, the brain takes in all this fucking information all day long. You're taking in shit that you don't even know that you're taking in. And your brain has like a reticular activating system is the filter, which brings things into your awareness. And this is why like successful people tend to see opportunities more than unsuccessful people. It's what you're sort of like tuned to. So if you set specific goals, or this is anecdotal, but if you set specific goals, what tends to happen is you see opportunities that take you towards those goals more in your life. Do you know what I mean? So it is essentially that, but it is in the brain, filters information based on what we focus on. If you focus on goals, you're going to see opportunities for goals. If you focus on bullshit and gossip, guess what? You're gonna find that. There's a dopamine element there as well, but I couldn't find any science to back this up. So, and self-determination theory, which is that humans thrive when they have autonomy, competence, and relatedness, all supported by clear goals. So, Ben, you are a great example of this. Where did you used to work before you worked at Skyline?
Costa Coffee.
Did you enjoy that job?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to say that.
It didn't pay well, but I enjoyed it.
How long were you there? I know, find this fucking guy.
It's true. 2 years.
You were there for 2 years. What position did you start in?
Just a barista, just a general coffee maker.
What position did you end in?
Supervisor.
Supervisor. Did you have autonomy with that job?
Not really, no.
Okay, so you went from barista to supervisor, but you didn't have any autonomy. But what have you achieved since you've been at Skyline?
A lot of things. Moved up positions, my role. It's hard to put it.
I'll do it for you, right?
Operations manager.
I'll do it for you. So when I first met Ben, he was working as a barista, a supervisor at Costa Coffee. And then Ben came and started working at Skyline, and you were the sort of like dog's body labourer when you first started, right?
Yeah, just doing anything. Actually carrying stuff.
Yeah. Like what are you doing now, Ben?
Sounds so normal.
Running the show.
You're basically running the show. Ben is a shareholder in the business. Ben pretty much can do. Is there anything you can't do within the company?
Take money out when I want.
Got it there, innit?
Yeah, bastard. What I'm trying to demonstrate though is that, like, when Ben came and worked for Skyline, I gave him a huge amount of autonomy, and Ben is the kind of guy who's going to make the best of any situation. As you can tell, he enjoyed his job in at Costa, right? But like, and he's gone from being like, he couldn't get mastic in a Gap when I first started working with Ben. Nah. And now he's a shareholder in the business. Yeah, now he's a shareholder in the business, and he's taken it to like the next level. This guy, like, the company would be half the business it is without Ben. He brings in a huge amount of like revenue as well in the form of just like sales, his networking, his ability to like make friends with people, etc., etc. So, but like the reason I point it out is because like I've given you a lot of autonomy, right? Like I've given you a lot of freedom, and you've like embraced that, and you've made like huge progress in your professional life, I think, by doing that. I'm not flexing. I'm trying to flex on his behalf, but. So, I don't want to talk about myself too much, but yeah, here we go. Buckle up. But like I've taken this shit quite seriously in my life. Like I take this shit really seriously, right? And I, you know, without like fucking getting the violin out and stuff, I have gone from a position of being like completely penniless and broke and homeless. Yeah, but that was you know, that was not, yeah, that wasn't my lowest point. Yeah, you've seen this. You've seen me do this. Yeah, right. Like, and Leo, yeah. And so like I've managed to go from 0 to 0.5, right? Like let's not you know, let's not like flex too much. But and this doing this shit is how I've done it. like this is the process, how I've done it. But you know, my goals were like, I didn't want to have a boss, you know, because I was fucking totally unemployable, and I was like horrible to work with people. I wanted to smoke great cigars. I wanted to drive around in a big fuck off truck or something. I wanted to ride Harley Davidsons. I wanted to drive a G-Wagon. I wanted a team of people around me, like, because I didn't want to be on my own, because I had a business on my own, it's shit. And I wanted to like do martial arts and be pretty good at jiu-jitsu and shit. And like, when you zoom out on those goals, they look really materialistic, right? But like, it's not about the shit that I've like bought or like the cars I've driven and all this sort of shit. It's more about the character that I've become in the pursuit of these things. And that's kind of the whole, all of this shit is what it's really about. But I never really appreciated the fact that you guys have actually seen that in real time, right? Yeah, I know, right?
Well, no, since what, 2008?
We've known each other for years before that, from the gym.
Yeah, I was trying to think muscles over 2006.
Yeah, when I used to work in there. So I've used jiu-jitsu as an example because there's loads of jiu-jitsu guys here. How many people we got jiu-jitsu?
I don't train regularly, but I have done.
Yeah, it counts.
I love jiu-jitsu.
Nearly, yeah. It will happen one day.
Proof to bench don't work.
But the reason why I've used the reason why I use jiu-jitsu as an example is because it's a really simple example of like how you can make shit happen. So for example, one of my recent goals, like in recent history, was a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, and there's a few purple belts here, right? But and it's I wanted to sort of like demonstrate it as like the fucking my hair in that picture is terrible, isn't it? It looks like it's just been plopped on top. If I could shave my head, like, but
Roger standing on a box.
no, I'm just little. That's not the worst one, is it? But anyway, how did when I zoom out, when I achieved that goal, what I did is I zoomed out on it and I was like, okay, how did I actually achieve that goal, right? And it like my sort of experience with jiu-jitsu is not unique, but essentially all I did was I just built the habit. Right? I just built the habit, the non-negotiable habit of training 3 times a week. Instead of setting the goal of like, oh, I want a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, I set the goal of I'm going to train 3 times a week no matter what. That was my goal, right? So you can see like one is like the item and one is the behavior. And so I kind of distill things into behaviors and habits. So anyway, I was going to train 3 times a week. I was going to keep consistent because like I get tattooed a lot and sometimes you get injured or like work stuff takes you away. And I was like, whatever happens, I'm always going to get right back on that thing. So I'm just going to stay consistently do it for as long as it takes. And other people are going to progress better, like faster than I am, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to keep going at my pace. And this is the biggest point, right? I didn't quit. There were 2 occasions in particular where I was ready to stop training. I think like one was when I was at Henley shortly after I got my blue belt, and I just fell out of love with it, and I was kind of like, fucking don't like doing this anymore. And I stopped going for a period of time, and I was like ready to jack it. And what I did instead was like forced myself to keep going because I was like, oh, I can see what's happening. I'm just like getting bored of it. I'm just going to keep going anyway. I'm just going to like doggedly persevere with it. And then the second time was when I had a motorbike crash and I broke my foot and my elbow, and I had like a really good reason to like quit. And instead I switched clubs and continued to train like privates. And then when I was feeling well enough, just got like back on the mat again. So the reason why I'm sort of highlighting those stories is because like I think it kind of like that happens in any, like with any pursuit you do, whether it's starting a business. We've had this conversation many times. When you start a business, like there are so many times where you're like ready to jack this, like it's not fucking happening. Like you get guys like Christian who he launches his business and it's like blown up straight away, right? Yeah, but you're gonna face times that are like where you're like, fucking hell, man, I'm ready to jack this. And it is like, I know it's a cheesy saying, but you know, like quitters never win and winners never quit. And it is just like, sometimes it's a fucking perseverance game. Anyway. That's why I want to highlight that. So the system, the guys that have been before, they know the system quite well. I did send some of the rest of you a video last night. Hugh, I know that you didn't get it, sorry. But this is the system, and this is how it works. So this is the end of the first quarter of the year. So like we do this every quarter, and you're going to set 3 goals for every quarter, right? So you've done your 3 goals for the last quarter. Now we're going to set 3 more. I encourage people to like vary the goals, like a professional goal maybe, like a personal goal, like maybe a health and fitness goal, whatever. But 3 goals every year. The reason we do that is because, I'll go into that in the next slide. But then we use the Wheel of Life tool to sort of like help inform the tools. I'll help you with this, Hugh. Yes. Well, you've got Christian as well. He should be able to, he's been to 3 of these, so he should be able to help you. We use that as like a scoring system to like audit where you're at, to figure out where you need to go next, right? So use the Wheel of Life. Then we use the SMART filter to run all the goals through, and that should come out at the end somewhere close to where you need to be. And I've actually added another layer, which I'll tell you about in a second. So yeah, 3 goals every quarter. Why do you think it's 3 goals every quarter, Leo? Yeah. Getting you back now.
It's the right amount so you don't try and overachieve and fail on all of them. That's one of your things. And it fits in the year, 3 quarters into the year. It
does fit in the year. But it's also...
It's about right.
Yeah.
But like... But there are some people here who are a great example of this, but like you can achieve quite a lot in 3 months. Like you can achieve quite a lot. So fuck's sake, behave. Like James, the first one you came to, like give us a little brief, like when you first came to one of these, where was your sort of like business life at?
Well, it was mainly for the online coaching.
Yeah.
has always been a standard.
Yeah.
Like pretty consistent. But I was just, mate, when was it? July last year.
Yeah.
Was it the first one?
Might have been.
Yes, I would have just started about 3 months into starting my online business.
And where's your online business now?
Well, it's dipped a little bit.
Okay.
Last quarter, but prior to that, yeah, it's increased.
But I mean, you're having a hard time blowing yourself up here. But like you've gone from like very little online presence to having quite a powerful online presence now, right?
Yes.
I think it's fair to say every time I open up Instagram, it seems like James is like omnipresent. He's like constantly there.
That's also to do with Lloyd.
Yeah, but what like the point is that you've like you've created that from nothing. Like
the content in that video is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the videos look great, but it's the content that holds me.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the video makes me look, and it's the content that holds. So.
Yeah, and you did that in that's like a step that some businesses might take them years to do that, and you did that in 3 months, right? Like you started creating better content, you started pumping it out there. It was just like it was quite obvious to me.
Actually, when you think about it, I think about it now. Yeah, before then I wasn't even doing any online camera work.
No.
That was the thing.
And the other thing that you can't remember is that you didn't want to speak to the camera.
That was it, yeah.
And then and now you've got people saying, "Oh, your content is great," right? I'm the same, right? I didn't have any online presence before January last year, right? So, but like the point I'm trying to make is that 3 months is quite. You can do a fucking lot in 3 months, but it's also not so long that it's overwhelming. And I don't think anyone in the past has left feeling overwhelmed with like, oh, this is such a fucking audacious goal that I've got to achieve. It kind of feels a bit more like achievable. That's what I found anyway. And obviously there are 4 quarters in a year, Leo. So and if you stack those quarters together and you have some level of consistency, like by the time you zoom out and look at your year, you can go like, holy fuck. You might have a different problem, which is where you've done a lot of shit, right? And then you need a rest, but we'll get to that. So the Wheel of Life thing, like this is where we get a little bit like woo woo, right? And this is a little bit life coachy, but like I won't make it too cringe. But the guys that have done it, let me pick on someone actually. Ben, when you've done the Wheel of Life thing in the past, what were the things that you noticed about it?
I think just like realisation of where you actually were when you had to sit down and think about it.
Did it sometimes surprise you?
Yeah, it was less than I thought, especially in some of the areas that I thought I was doing better in.
Right, yeah. So this is what I found as well when I did this exercise when I first ever did it with my coach. It was like quite surprising how unhappy I was in some areas of my life. I was continually chasing like professional, I guess, or like financially related goals. And then when I sat down to actually kind of audit my life, so to speak, I was like, I don't fucking have any mates that I spend time with. And that's kind of what made me a little bit miserable. And I think that if you can get some element of this in balance, then it can really help you out. An example of this is I did this presentation the other day, and this was one of the slides that I did. And I said, like, you should always be fucking winning somewhere. And like I kept this like no secret that like recently I've had a load of business challenges. I had another customer go out of business yesterday, right? Luckily they didn't owe me money like the other guys. But like this year I am down £500,000 already, right? It's like a challenge, right? But I was driving back from the gym on one morning and I was like, you know what, I'm achieving all my health goals at the moment. I'm in pretty good nick. I'm healthy, no injuries. My jiu-jitsu is going pretty well. So in the health and fitness side of things, I'm scoring pretty high. And that allows me to like be like, well, do you know what? Like the business stuff is a challenge, but like this is going well. And if you have all your eggs in one basket, there is a time for like zero balance, don't get me wrong. But like if you've got all your eggs in one basket, I think it's much harder to like find a level of contentment in life. Do you know what I mean? Because as soon as something goes wrong at work, you're fucked. So this is how it's worked for me anyway. But I also think it's worth mentioning, right? These are just my categories. And if you guys want to change these to suit yourself, then that's like, just do what you want with it, right? This is just what's worked for me. The SMART thing, like everyone knows about. Has anyone not heard of the SMART thing before? Specific, measurable, achievable, relatable. Yeah, everyone knows it. I'm not going to waffle on about it too much. But we take the goals every quarter and we put it through the SMART filter, and that helps sort of like inform them and, you know, make them a little bit more specific. And then the KISS thing is like, this is a new thing, right?
Simple, stupid.
Yeah. It is. So like I used to use this all the time when I was a musician. Like we used to, because we're musicians, we used to overcomplicate fucking everything. We're like, oh, let's make this riff even fucking more sick. So all the guitar players are like, ugh. And, and the reality is, like when we started getting good is when we started using this. Like it was like, fucking keep it simple, stupid. Like if you can simplify something, fucking simplify it, right? Your goals are going to be so much easier if they're simple, right? So I'm sort of pushing that into this territory now as well. So, and yeah, you won't hear me talk about feelings much because you know, because I'm a fucking geezer. But but this can be a really useful tool as well. And this is something that I want everyone to kind of like think a little bit about, and something I've learned since the last time I did one of these masterminds. Sort of visualizing how you were going to feel when you achieve a certain goal, right? So for me, for example, one of my goals might look like, because I've had these turbulent times with customers and business, I might want to add like 3 new customers to my business, which looks good. And I can talk about like the sums and how that all works, yada, yada, yada. But I can also go like, how will I feel when I do that? Like I might feel more like secure. I might feel a bit more sort of like less stressed. Do you know what I mean? And attaching like a feeling to, or a perception of a feeling to that can actually be quite useful. And I think it can like empower your goals a little bit. So I want everyone to kind of like to ask that question later, if you can remember. And then obviously the other thing that I bang on about all the time what kind of person achieves X? And this is the stuff that I'm going even more into at the moment, you know, again, getting a little bit more woo-woo, but like, who is the character that achieves X, Y, Z goal? So as another example, if I want to, let's say I want to get in shape, like, let's say I'm at 15% body fat now and I want to get down to 10. Like, you know, you can answer this. Well, actually, Greg, you can answer this question. What kind of person achieves that goal of getting to, what kind of character achieves the goal of getting to like 10% body fat?
Really fucking consistent.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And it's behaviors, right?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, the sort of person who keeps their promises to themselves, they're consistent, like they have behavioral, like good behavioral habits, all that kind of stuff. And I think sometimes visualizing yourself as a different character, I have had so many times in my life where I get up late, fucking like, you know, I fucking mince around the house, like sit looking at my phone and doing all this shit. And actually, when I'm honest about like who I want to be this guy who fucking is smashing it, has multiple businesses, doing multiple millions of pounds, like got loads of great friends, loads of great relationships. This is the kind of person I want to be. And that kind of character does not sit around his house in his dressing gown looking at tits on Instagram, do you know what I mean? Which is like what I'll do sometimes in the morning. So I have a clear vision. I'm just being honest. But like I've got a clear vision for the person, the character that I need to be. And I think this can be a really, really useful tool when you guys are exploring some of your goals, right? And then like the most important thing is just to like have a laugh along the way, because I have met loads of people who are really, really fucking successful and they are miserable as shit. And it is just not worth doing. And I have had times where I've made a shitload of money and had everything going my way, and I was just not at my best, like, you know, not feeling my best, not having fun. So I think it's really important to have a good time along the way. And I've included some pictures of me having a good time. So how do you do this? Like celebrating wins, I think, is really important, and we're going to do some of that today. Investing in each other's success, like I kind of touched on this earlier, but like there's no point in doing this shit alone, right? Like be a part of something bigger than yourself. This is what I have done, right? I'll use an example, like Leo. Do you remember when you worked for Verus and you bought your first house?
Yeah.
Yeah. Leo used to work for me in another company, right? And he bought his first house. You'd just gotten into a relationship with Tanya.
Yeah, like a year in.
Yeah. But you bought like a big, beautiful house. And at the time, right, I was living in a pokey one-bedroom flat in Henley. It's fine. And I was driving around in a van. And I had like a load of stress with work and all the rest of it because I was trying to run this business. And Leo, who's one of my employees, his life was going quite well. And I think you invited me round for something. I had to come round and you were showing me the house and you showed me that you...
Yeah, for work.
Right, okay. But like you were having the kitchen done and all the rest of it. And I remember getting in the van afterwards, right? And driving home and feeling like really buzzed, like energized, because he was doing so well. And I felt a little bit like I was a part of it. But like also he was someone who I was close to at the time. And he was killing it. His life was going from level, you know, X to level Y. And it's, I just think that watching other people and being part of other people's success is so fucking important, rather than this narcissistic, like, I'm fucking winning, fuck everyone else. That hasn't worked for me, and I don't advise it to anyone else. So as you are all progressing, which you will do, like you can all get buzzed off each other's success. And at the same time, when someone's facing challenges, you can help each other out, right? But that's what's, you know, I've done a lot of that. I've celebrated a lot of my like friends and associates like success, and it has added to my life a lot. And then the last point is like to continue to invest in yourself. So like you're all here today, so congratulations, because you've all invested in yourself in some way. But like you have to continue. Like Lloyd, you and I have this conversation quite a lot, right? Because Lloyd, how old are you, Lloyd?
22.
And you run your own successful videography business. Yeah. And what is your opinion on investing in yourself?
It's got to happen, regardless of how much it costs.
Yeah. How much did you invest recently?
11 grand the other day.
Into what?
Course.
Yeah. So Lloyd is going places, right? And his business is going to continue to grow. And there is probably, like, it's fair to say it's not about the money you're investing, it's about the fact that you're investing, right?
Yeah, the intention with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I've invested hundreds of thousands of pounds in myself, in my own education, training, and some of them have been shit, you know? I remember paying like 10 grand for something, and I was like, that was a fucking waste of money. But, you know, like, you know, I learned that I didn't need to do that. But continue to invest in yourself. You don't just have to invest money either. You can invest time. So like when someone is like, oh, I don't have time to take myself off for a day and focus on this, and you need to be able to invest time, money, and effort, energy into yourself. So continue to do it. You're all doing it. Keep doing it, right? And that is it. Just fucking get after it, right? So we're gonna go into it now. I want to talk a little bit about the guys who have set their goals. We're going to recap some of that. Does anyone need a bathroom, drink, or anything like that? No? Cool. Yeah, grab a drink. I think you might be up first, Christian. I think so, man. Because like, can I take this off now, Lloyd?
Yeah, all good, mate. There's a load of food as well.
They brought food in already.